What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. All right, guys. Well, it sounds as though, per the most recent town hall, that we are going to get SPS delegation and then SPS staking requirements following that in the next few weeks, the next few months, hopefully by the end of Q2. I think the way that it was phrased by Matt is that we're going to get SPS delegation in the next couple of weeks. They're going to build it without having to wait for the validators. And then we should expect following that to get SPS staking requirements. So, I think that we may still have to wait until June for all of this to actually be activated. But even if not, I wanted to speculate now because I think there was something very important in the town hall that was mentioned that's going to change a lot of the expectations. That it has, at the very least, changed my expectations in terms of how much SPS is going to be required in order to, reach or play at certain levels. And keep in mind that in the past, Matt has said that it's not, it won't be a hard stop where it's just like you need 1,000 SPS, 1,000 SPS in order to play in this league. Otherwise, you're not in, right? It'll be a situation where you will be getting less rewards or maybe only a percentage of the rewards if you are not at a certain threshold for each league. So the thing that stuck out to me, and now that I've had a chance to kind of sit with this for the last 24 hours and put 2 and 2 together, is the fact that SPS will also have the chance to be staked on guilds and upcoming guild buildings. So when you think about the fact that there's, 550 million SPS that's currently staked right now, if you divide that by 75,000 players, again, just evenly across the board, it's about like 7,000 or 7,500 SPS total. Again, that number doesn't mean anything. I'm just trying to see like SPS per active account is still relatively high, right? I think 7,000 would be a lot if you're playing in the lower leagues, but very little if you're playing in the higher leagues. But the reason that I bring up the guild thing is because now when you think about the fact that you will not just have the opportunity to stake on yourself, to stake on another player or another account, maybe a second account of yours, but you will also have the option to stake on guilds. That could make SPS very scarce, right? What we're doing is exactly what I've been calling for, and that is giving SPS staking yet another utility. I shouldn't say yet another, but finally another utility, and one that's come completely out of left field. Because just imagine, right? Like you have X amount of SPS. You're going to need Y amount in order to play at whatever level, and then instead of like maybe staking the rest on another player or another account or whatever the case is, you may choose to give that to your guild, right? Stake it on the guild building, which could tie up actually a lot of SPS when you think about how many competitive guilds there are in the space. Now, how much are guilds going to require? Or how much will these guild buildings require? We don't know. Will it only be SPS? Maybe, maybe not. It might be SPS. It might be a combination, right? Where you could choose to do SPS or you could choose to do vouchers and they would have some weird kind of equivalency. But ultimately, just the fact that SPS is going to get this other direct utility is really awesome, in my opinion. And I'm hoping that we can get all of this, within the next couple of months here or by the end of Q2, because it's just like people will need SPS in order to play, in order to earn the maximum amount of rewards of whatever league they're trying to play in. But they'll also need it to help their guilds. Right? They'll also need it for DEC. If we can get the DEC crunch to actually happen, people will need to start burning SPS. So this flywheel could be the dream come true that everybody's hoping that it will be, right? Now, obviously, the flywheel will do its own thing because DEC is on its own trajectory, and hopefully we can burn through all the rest that we need to burn through. And then, of course, land, potentially even Rift Watchers will be major DEC drivers in the future. And actually, I would assume if there's a promo set that comes out at some point this summer, that'll probably be sold in DEC as well. Now, that DEC will not be, necessarily burned. It's probably going to be revenue that the company takes in for the partnership. But keep in mind, if there's not enough DEC and those cards are cool or worth it or whatever, something that you need to have in game, then, people will be buying those packs and it could get really interesting. So when we think about the fact there's 1 billion, a little over 1 billion SPS currently in circulation, about a little more than half of that is currently staked. I think we could start to see a lot more get staked because people will see the need for it in game. Now, you're going to have a lot of whales that have SPS right now maybe choose to, send it to their account, send it to other guilds, whatever the case is. But for everybody else that needs SPS for additional things in game, these are the types of utility that I was hoping for, and I'm really, really excited that we're going to get it. So where am I thinking? Again, I don't want to throw out any numbers here because we have no idea, but we were talking about like 1,000 SPS for bronze, 5,000 SPS for silver, or 10,000 SPS for silver, 25,000 for gold, 50,000 for diamond, 100,000 for champ, stuff like that, right? Like that was kind of like the range in which we would look at. What I'm trying to say is that if we do consider the fact that SPS will also be required for guilds, I think we're going to have to take all of those down. I mean, playing in something like Champion may not be 100, may not even be 50, right? It may be significantly less than that, and it really just comes down to, do you have the cards rather than do you have the leveled up cards and the skill set to play rather than the collection power? So a lot of people may look at this and be like, oh, well, Champion is, I can't get in because I don't have enough of whatever. Well, now it's just like, if you have the SPS and you have the skill set with the cards, you can make your way all the way up to champ, right? There's nothing gating you anymore if you want to play with level 1 cards and you have the skill set to do so. But most of the time you're going to get beat down and you're not going to be earning the maximum amount of rewards. But you can prove everybody wrong by making your way to champ with that. Now, that could bring in its own problems, right? Because we are still struggling with the ratings inflation. But ultimately, like, if each of these bots are going to be trying to get up and play into champion or diamond, whatever the case is, they will need to have SPS staked on them. And so I'm not going to dig into all of that now. My whole point is that I think these requirements are going to be a lot lower than what we were expecting, simply because there is going to be another utility where it's not just staking it on yourself or staking it on another player. It's going to be also staking it on guilds. And I have no idea how much guilds are going to eat up, but I do know that guilds are a very, very competitive part about Splinterlands. And a lot of the top guilds are going to want to make sure that they've maxed out that SPS. So, I don't know how this is going to work. My hope is that, it's not, and I think I'll give a shout out to Christopher. I hope that it's not necessarily a, how do you put it? Like there's a cap for guilds, or like a threshold for guilds, where it's just like, you need to stake X amount in order to do this. If they do something cool where it's like, the more you stake, right? So it's almost like infinite staking. The more you stake, the more benefits you get in your brawls or whatever the case is. As a relative term, or as a relative amount to everybody else, that could be really interesting. Again, it would make things very top heavy and very whale heavy, but I'm sure there could be ways in which it could be beneficial for everyone. Again, I don't know. I'm glad I don't have to design this. I'm glad Matt is designing it, but I am very much excited to see what he comes up with for this. And it just makes me believe that we're going to see much lower thresholds for SPS, which is a gate that many people were complaining about, right? Abstractly complaining about, saying like, oh, it's, people are not going to play because it's, you're going to need to have too much SPS, blah, blah, blah. Like, I get it. But now, if that's going to come down because SPS utility is going to be required in other places, I don't know. I think that's going to be really cool. So that's all I have in this video for you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I will catch you all in the next video and see you around the game. Take care.